Good evening and welcome back to Prime of Midlife. It's Tuesday evening and I'm having a thought. And that thought is, what happens when we all burn out? So there I was at work, quite the thing. Half day tomorrow, off Friday and Monday. Kathleen has been signed off from work today by her wellbeing officer. Basically, they told her she's burning out, so she needs to have a break. So that obviously got my brain thinking, and I was like, well, I'm exhausted, but I have an end in sight. Once mum and dad's stuff's all sorted, I can stop. But there's so many of us just now are burnt out at my age, like late 50s, early 60s, and further on. But the younger ones are also getting burnt out. And I thought, well, what is going on? And in years gone by, the majority of our society was couples. And one went out to work and the other stayed and dealt more with housework and feeding and looking after the family. And gradually it's become that instead of being the norm, that is the exception, because you can't afford that. And it's not whether you're on benefits or not. I'm talking about even if you've got a decent paying job, you cannot support a family on that, on an average. Oh, excuse me, I've been up reading too late. But many people, one job is not enough to sustain a family. Now, whether that family is, the nuclear family of mum, dad, and 2.2 kids or whatever. But even now, whether it's like me, parent and child, adult child, as in, or whether it's a couple, whether it's two friends, whether it's brother and sister, or, two people are struggling to keep things going nowadays. And we are starting to burn out. The sickness rate has gone up. The mental health sickness has gone up so hugely. And don't get me wrong, I am the first to say, get over yourself. Suck it up, mate. Because I think it's just been it's been turned into a paintbrush now. Everyone gets tired with it. But there are actually a lot of us who are burning out because we are never getting out of the bit. We're always struggling. And that's not going to stop anytime soon if the world carries on the way it's going. And I don't mean the world in general. I mean the world of, wages being so low, cost of living being so high. People, companies benefiting and upping prices on stuff so they have huge profits while we're still struggling. We're struggling to put food on the table to the point we're going to food banks. But we, as a population, are burning out. All over the world, there's people burning out. Because this is not what we were designed to do. We weren't designed to be on the go for a huge percentage of our day. So, yeah, what's going to happen? Because, as I say, a lot my age are burning out because we're the sandwich generation. We're looking after parents and kids and grandkids. The majority, or not the majority, I don't know that for sure, but a lot of people, a lot of families, grandparents are becoming the child care until they get past it, and then they have to be cared for. I was looking at a report today about jobs and what people are looking for from employers as benefits, and by a huge margin, the biggest benefit that people wanted was flexible hours, not working from home, not remote. That was a a lot of people's thing, but it was something like 20-something% to 40-something%. It was more than double. In fact, everything else was like 20%, 20% on 6%, whatever. But the biggest one was flexible hours, so that they're not having to pay for childcare the whole day that they're working. You know, can you imagine if you maybe got to start at 10, so you managed to get the kids to school, so you're not having to pay childcare prior to school? That's a whole heap of budgeting. You know, a lot of families are only maybe making a couple of hundred extra per month if they're both working, both parents are working, because the childcare costs are so big. And so I just thought I'd come and tell you and go, is it just me, or are you lot noticing as well that we're starting to burn out, like proper burnout? Not the, oh, woe is me, I'm stressed burnout, but the actual, like, I'm on my knees burnout. There's a difference, as we all know. So yeah, I will leave you with that one and go make myself more tea and go back to my book and just ignore the world while I read my book. Catch you later.